So here to talk about 10 things that you might not know that Final Cut X does, please welcome back to LAFCPUG after a long, long time, Victor Maldonado.
Thank you. Just a quick background. I am primarily a cinematographer and photographer. I'm an editor. I'm third as far as that goes. I have my own production company, VictorPhoto.com. My claim to fame, I did the documentary called The Cinderella Man a few years back, and I've edited a lot of the Carrot Top videos for many years. So this is where I am coming from. A couple things I'd like to say following what was said this evening already is that you notice that we got Shane, we got Mike, we have Dave. A lot of us use not only Final Cut Pro, but some of us use Avid. Some of us are on Premiere also. So our background is with our studio. We're on Final Cut Pro 6. We're on Final Cut Pro 7. We're on Final Cut Pro 10. And we're on Premiere CS 5.5. And also editing both on Macs and on PCs. So my philosophy is, as editors, I don't play the whole I'm a PC guy, I'm a Mac guy, I'm an Avid guy, I'm an Apple guy. I don't do that. I'm an editor. To me, it's just an in and out point. I don't care what I use. I come from film. So if I'm from an Avid, if someone gives me Avid, my first question, where's my in point? Where's my out point? I'm going to audition, screen the footage, find the parts that I want, and put them down into the timeline. That is the workflow. So that's where I'm headed. Also, the last few months I've been on a project helping out copy edit the new Final Cut Pro 10 book. So I'm also coming from that angle of it. So let's get started. Okay, a couple of things. I was up at Apple not too long ago, and we discussed a few things. Number one, on a couple of things you might not know about Final Cut Pro 10. How many licenses can you have on Final Cut Pro 10?
5.
Unlimited. So if you have several laptops or towers that are Intel based, it's unlimited amount of licenses that you're allowed to have on your machines if you own them, if they are registered to you. Okay, on the internet you hear 5. I heard someone say 10. It is unlimited, unless right now it is unlimited if you are an enterprise company. It is unlimited today. That might change, but for now you might want to take advantage of it. So that's number one. Number two, I'm going to be really polite about this one. How many heard that you cannot bring in tape into Final Cut Pro 10? That was huge. And we're like reading this thinking, what in the world? What do you mean you can't bring in tape? Yes, you can bring in tape into Final Cut Pro 10 if it's coming from a FireWire device. Okay? Oops, let me get that out of there. All right, so how do you do it? There's different ways of importing tape. You could go to File, Import from Camera. So File, Import from Camera, or Command-I. Command-I brings up the import window. This is not tape, this is my iPhone. I haven't used tape for a long time. I have thousands of, it is the same thing. I have thousands of tapes laying around, but it's the same thing. You can select a range within your clips. You could batch capture also. It'll respect your stop and record settings, and you can import it. Not only that, but you could also have it analyze your footage on import. So I so don't want to hear people say that anymore, that you cannot.
If it's FireWire, how are you getting your phone in?
I beg your pardon?
If you can only bring in FireWire, how are you getting your phone in? It's tape. It's tape. If it's tape, it's FireWire, but anything else goes?
Yeah, if you have one of the newer cameras, yeah, you just plug it in. But I am making the point that if you're using tape on the internet, I have seen and heard that you cannot, that Final Cut Pro 10 will not bring in tape, and that's not true. Once you hear that statement, then I get bonked over the head with, well, you can't do all these types of tapes. Well, the ones that you can are HDV, DV, DV Cam, DVC Pro 50, and DVC Pro HD. So once I mention that, then I get bonked over the head, and then I hear, well, those aren't professional grade workflows. Okay, one of my clients is one of the largest Spanish-speaking network in the world. Their workflow is they bought 50 HDV cameras from Sony. They bought Final Cut Pro systems and laptops, and they had their newscasters go out in the field, capture in HDV. Granted, if you're going to do your own documentary or your own feature, that's not my first choice, is HDV. I'm going to grab a red camera. But nevertheless, it is a format that we do use as editors, and it is a professional workflow. If it's going on the internet just to shoot a car accident, you don't need to have a red camera or a Panasonic camera to do that. Okay, third thing on here is that when you bring on import, what you can do is you can do what is called it'll analyze the video, and it will also read your video and analyze it and see if the white balance is correct, if there's rolling shutter, etc. These are just an analysis of the footage. You still have to turn these features on. So it doesn't do it. It'll analyze, but it won't turn that feature on. That's up to you. You can still go in and white balance on your own, but if you choose to do an analysis, you can.
It doesn't bake it in. You still have the option to turn that analysis off after you capture it.
Correct.
Can you use a campus type box firewire to capture VHS, anything to run through it? Or is that not possible?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Can you use a campus type box, with the firewire out to capture
I haven't tried that.
you haven't tried that?
I haven't tried it.
You can?
I don't know.
You know?
I don't use that, so don't know. All right.
I wouldn't think you could.
I wouldn't think
Yes,
it'd be
do
any-
the
I don't think that would be an issue.
It's just a signal coming in. through
Exactly.
Okay.
It's Canopus, by the way.
Tomato.
They also call it Asia.
Sorry, we take your raffle tickets away.
So here we have a clip in the
Canopus.
timeline. Here it is. With the clip selected, you go into your inspector, video, and this is balance, and this has been analyzed, and it tells us if we want to take a peek at it, we just select it. Don't want it, turn it off. We could get the scopes up and look at it here also. Okay, the skimmer. Another one that I hear often is that, how do you turn off the skimmer? Anyone know? S. I'm not sure why people are, I'm still reading that, but here is the skimmer on here. The way that I go about selecting the footage that I want, instead of using an in point and an out point, I and O, I just hit the option key, click and drag, and make the selection.
Victor, can you read the time data code while you're doing it? So if you want to be frame accurate to a number, you've got that option.
Let's see. Looks like it, yep. See it?
Not duration, but your starting point.
Ah, starting point. Whoops. Let me get the skimmer back up. Do you see it? Yeah. Right. This is it right here.
Go Shift I and Shift O, that'll take you to the first and last frame, right?
Shift I, Shift O.
Make sure you repeat everything.
Yep, Shift I, Shift O to take you to your in and out points. All right. Another thing. Being able to reset when you're color correcting. So let's take a clip right here. I have it selected. And let's say we want to select the exposure value on this. So we have our buttons here. What is on the internet, even Steve Martin said this, that once you start to fix your white and your black balance, excuse me, I'm under color. Let me go over to the exposure. So here we have the black. Here we go. And once you start making the blacks more rich, or the highlights, what I've read on the internet is that you have to, in order to reset these, you have to use the reset button here. But you can reset these individually if you just select it and then hit the delete key. So you don't have to go in and reset what you've already done. Overwrite. Where is overwrite? These are your editing buttons down here. And overwrite isn't here. You have to go up to File. Excuse me, here we go. Excuse me, Edit, Overwrite. So we're used to having that up all the time in the legacy versions of Final Cut, but it's now up on the top.
There's still a single keyboard shortcut for it, right?
D. D. So you want to overwrite and drag it in? Oh, that's right. Whoops.
It's more cumbersome, just like that.
Yeah, right. So there you go. P for the position tool. I'm going to undo that. Slugs. How do you put in a slug? So I've read that you can no longer have placeholders. How do you put in a slug into Final Cut Pro 10? You put your playhead where you want it to go, and there are a couple ways of doing this. You could do Command Option W, and you get the new placeholder, which is right here, or Option W, which someone just said. Here's one that's kind of hidden. We're used to, how many here do bars and tone and the slates and the two-pop? You know, wow, that many? Wow. Yeah, so do I. I haven't done them in a while, but it's been a standard for a really long time. So what you can do is modify the time code. I have not tested this though. I don't know if it will respect your modified time code when you export out. Final Cut Pro 7 and 6 and 5, it wouldn't, as far as I know, would not respect a modified time code. You had to download 2 different apps, softwares, in order to export it out back to tape because it would reset it back to 0. No? So let me get this right then. So if you're in Final Cut Pro 7 and you have 90 minutes of bars and tone, and you modify the time code to start sooner, and you export from a default Final Cut Pro system, it'll export out and respect that. Because what I've been doing on that is I've been going into this convoluted workflow is exporting this way, downloading an app,
Oh, you're talking about exporting to
tape,
FireWire.
exporting out from FireWire to tape on a modified time code for tape with your bars and tone and your
You're talking
slates.
about FireWire, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you had to use simple video out to do that.
Right.
Yeah, but no, I think we're all talking about like, uploading to HD cam or.
No. Going back out to tape via FireWire. So I have not tested this out in Final Cut Pro 10. I want to test it out, but I haven't yet. So the way that we would do that is we would open up the projects browser here, and when you select this, does someone have some water? Thanks.
I forgot.
Thank you. You could go to your projects properties, Command J. And it opens up your properties in Inspector. Down in the lower right, you have this little wrench. Click on it. And this is where, once you've added your bars and tone and your slate and your 2-pop, you can modify the time code here and go back out. Thank you so much. All right, so that's where that is. Now, for me, one feature that I really like a lot on here, Mike mentioned it earlier today, was metadata. How many are new to metadata? Wow, okay. So we have metadata and we have EXIF data. If we select a clip and go to the info inspector, we have both EXIF data and metadata. I have to confess, in Final Cut Pro 7 and 6, I didn't use the metadata very much, but with my still photography, used it all the time. I wouldn't do it any other way. What Final Cut Pro cannot do is, and I tried 3 different cameras. I tried some Canon cameras, some Nikon cameras, and the HVX 200, is that it will not show you the type of lens that you're using. It'll show you the size, it'll show you the format, the audio sample rate, etc., but it doesn't show you the lens size. So now, or the f-stop. Now, why would you want to know something like this? For those of you that shoot, here we have an apple, and notice that the apple is pretty much in focus, but the background isn't. So the background is out of focus, so this would be a shallow depth of field. So if I want to find all my shots that are shallow depth of field, I can select anything that's an f2, f1.4, etc., and then bam, here it is. But you have to input it in Final Cut Pro 10. I'm hoping with a later version, it'll do it on import. Right now you have to input it, but at least it is there, and you're able to find your shallow depth of field shots. As opposed to a shot that does not have a shallow depth of field. Here we have this guy trying to outrun this wave that's about to hit him. This is more like an F22, F32, and this is the information that I would like to have. The option is there to input it in Final Cut Pro 10, but it isn't doing it on the import of it. Would like to have that though. Another reason to have metadata is a very strong reason, is that if you shoot something, doesn't matter what it is, whatever project you're on, let's say you're shooting surfers at a surf contest, is that you could use metadata and then put in athletes, sport, surfing, Kelly Slater, Bonsai Pipeline, etc., and you could sell your footage. So some of you raise your hand on how many use stock stock footage, while you're able to sell this, people that want some footage of Kelly Slater at Bonsai Pipeline, maybe in 1999 or something like that, if the clip is not metadata tagged with that, they're not going to find it. So those of you who aren't using the metadata tags, please start using them because it's a way to generate more income by selling your stuff. And here's a site that you can go to. It's the International Press Telecommunications Council. Anyone go to this site?
All of us.
All of us. Are you guys being serious? You guys being?
It's a joke.
It's a joke. I'm really surprised. Okay, so let's say you want to find some footage of American presidents, let's say Ronald Reagan when he was shot. If you have footage like that and CNN wants to buy it, or the History Channel, if you do not have it tagged as U.S. presidents, Ronald Reagan, was it Hinckley that shot him? Then they're not going to find it. So if you start to metadata tag your footage with these things, then you're able to find it super fast. So one of the new features in Final Cut Pro 10 is that you can keep your footage. Some of you saw some of the presenters. We've all done it, and we all do it, is we have folders, and we have different project folders with all our different clips and media. Final Cut Pro 10 is changing this because now you can have all your clips available to you without leaving the application. So if you want to look for any of your old clips, you just go over to your event library, do a quick search, and then pull it up. Of course, this is contingent on the size of your hard drive. So if you don't have a large hard drive, in order to keep all your clips, then of course you're not going to be able to find it. A couple other things as far as metadata tagging is.
Do you have footage spread out over several drives?
The drives are on.
I use 2 drives. I have my main live drive that I use, and then I have a backup that's just a duplicate. But I haven't tried grabbing it from different drives at the same time. The different drives will show up here, though, if that's what you're asking. Give me one moment.
I have 6 different drives and I have footage on all of them and it sees all of them.
Yeah, it should. All right. Another example about metadata tagging. If you go on let's say you get a project with the military, for example. You could go to this site here. It's the Department of Defense site, and they have their own metadata tagging. So if you go out and you shoot tanks, Civil War footage, like Shane has done, you could actually get your clips, identify the guns, identify the cannons, identify the soldiers, and there's actually, if you go on the Department of Defense site, they show you how they want it metadata tagged. So you could go in there and sell them your stuff. So if you're going to do a tank, you don't just put tank. You have to put the branch of the branch of the military, the year, et cetera, which country, and you would metadata tag these clips in Final Cut Pro 10. Full screen mode, Shift Command F for full screen. All right, a couple of features I really like here. Retiming. So here we have, it's my nemesis in the legacy versions of Final Cut. You go in there, you could do keyframes, you could do Command J, you could do all that stuff. Man, I like being able to select a range within a clip and then just slow it down in the timeline. If you don't like the speed, you just click the end, make it longer, and it'll slow it down. I like this feature. This is a really fun. Yeah, this is one of my favorite features in here.
What if there's another clip on the other side? Does it adjust for it? Does it slide out of
Yep.
the way? Is it over?
No, it'll ripple it over. It'll slide it down.
And what if you don't want it to?
If you don't want it to, there is a way to not have it do that. Off the top of my head, I do not know.
I mean, I'm getting a locked picture right now. I've got that time code specific, so I'm still.
Right, and you want to, right, you don't want to move anything around. There is a way to do that. I just don't know off the top of my head. So can you just do a portion of it? Yeah, you don't have to cut it. So let me select something else. Let's say I want to work in this little area. Some of us used to cut the clips in order to select it. So here we have this guy coming down. Go back to normal. So here we have this guy trying to outrace this, and the wave comes and hits it. And we just want to just slow down the wave so it isn't going so fast. We could just select this with the range tool. I would use the skimmer. Get the scopes out of there. All right. Here's the wave. Get the range tool up with the R, and then just click and drag. There's my range. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Select it. Hit 50%. Whoops. Do that again. There it goes. So we don't have to cut it. You just get the range tool up, click and drag.
Does it ramp it on either side of the range?
Yeah, it can. And there are also other ways. You can do a linear ramp or not a linear ramp. So those are my 10 those are my 10 things. Can I shift gears?
Shift gears.
Okay. So those are my 10 things on 10. A couple of things that I'd like to end with is I was on a project with the military since last February, and this project, actually before I shift gears, let me just show you a couple other things. I'm on Lion. A couple of the presenters, Mike, I think mentioned, and Dave mentioned earlier about your preferences. I don't know whether Larry or anyone else has covered this, but normally when we want to delete the preferences, what do? We go where? Right, where is it? Do you see that it's not there? So this is some of the quirks with Final Cut Pro 7 in Lion. In order to get your library up, if you do want to delete your preference file, you have to go up to the Go menu, and you have to select the Option key. When you select the Option key, then the library comes up. So once you have the library up, then you go ahead and yeah, I like pulled my hair out for about a couple hours first. And then here's the library. So you have your cache. You can delete your cache. You can go down and delete where preferences. Here's preferences, and then go to the com.apple.final cut pro plist and get rid of it there. So what I wanted to show you tonight is you have to use the Option key in order to get to your library. A couple other things.
Into your side panel then after, if you go there a lot.
Oh, put it over.
Into the side
Yeah, that'd
panel,
be a good idea.
so you can always get to it.
Can you do that?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
There's also